Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Deal with D and J. I am your host today, DJ McCatherine. Jacob is spending some time with some family today, so I'm going to be your host for today, for the evening, for the morning, for the day, whenever you decide to take a listen to us. We greatly appreciate it each and every time that you do. But we're going to get right through it, or right to it, excuse me. Um, NBA playoffs. We're kind of in this middle to end stages. Today will mark game six for the Spurs and OKC series, along as well as the Cavs and Pistons series. So we're going to go down through every series that's happened because Knicks beat the Sixers in four and OKC beat the Lakers in four. So we're going to go right into it with Detroit and Cleveland. This has been a very it's been lopsided at times type of event. All of these games have been relatively close, have come down to a few possessions, a couple people making mistakes. James Harden was the focal point of these mistakes in the first two games. In game one, Cleveland had a lot of trouble getting set up on defense. They let Detroit go on multiple runs, 8-0, 7-0, 6-0 runs. Jared Allen was not on the floor a lot. It allowed the Detroit offense to really take off and accelerate. Um, and Detroit never let Cleveland get close. Game two was highlighted with Harden turnovers. I mean, they were brutal a lot of the time, especially late in this game when the game was still within reach. Cade Cunningham has been a beast throughout this whole entire series, literally carrying this team on his back on both sides of the ball. Cleveland in this game did not shoot well at all. In the first half, they were 3 of 14. They caught fire at the end of the third. And again, Harden's late turnovers was really the difference in this game. And now we're just going to skip ahead to game four, where Cleveland tied the series back up. Turnovers were limited. It's amazing what you can do when you don't turn the ball over, right? Your offense cleans up, your defense cleans up. Cleveland turned the momentum around. They kind of had this slow approach to the game, but when they came out guns ablazing in all of these games, they just had a different energy that continued through game five, where they are now up 3-2. In that game five performance, you know, the turnovers were really bad for Cleveland in this game, even then. But James Harden stepped up, had 13 first half points. Detroit had turnovers at the end of this game, and Donovan Mitchell, oh my gosh, Donovan Mitchell. Jacob is on this balance of whether or not he's a superstar. He needs to throw that away. Donovan Mitchell is the whole reason that this Cleveland Cavalier team is in the position that they are, and he continues to step up. And Evan Mobley has really matured in the last couple of years, and he's really taken a role on this team, especially in the playoffs with getting boards. And both of them had some really clutch shots at the end of this game that forced it to go into overtime. And then James Harden, oh my, James Harden with a couple of clutch free throws and a clutch rebound in overtime. And Detroit missed a couple of open threes to or at the end of this game that Cleveland was just able to ice the clock back down. Going into game six, Cleveland's going to be rowdy. Cleveland is going to be a hard place for Detroit to come back with when they're on their heels. Detroit is on their heels. Cade Cunningham, he needs a lot of help. I mean, being the number one seed in the East with this Boston team that we thought was going to be better than a first round exit. Detroit is playing a lot better ball as a team than I think any of us really expected them. But they're just not ready. They're not ready to fill those shoes. There's too many gaps in their offense. Cade Cunningham is doing the best he can. He's literally willing this team. And on the other end, Donovan Mitchell's on fire. James Harden has caught in a stride that's very important for this Cleveland team to succeed. Jared Allen is playing out of his mind. The lights don't seem to be too bright right now. Evan Mobley, Max Strus, Dean Wade. This Cleveland team has depth They're playing with a tempo and an urgency right now and an aggressiveness that has Detroit just pinned back. Now Detroit is a team that is feisty, can play really well, and if they have those couple of role players step up, Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson has done a really good job from the 3-point ball or with the 3-point ball in this series, literally willing this team from beyond the arc and keeping this game close when momentum tends to swing. If he's on, he is momentum swinger, whether it's bringing them back to normal, if Cleveland's on a run, putting Detroit ahead, right? Or literally putting this Detroit team on his back to get momentum started. But for me, I'm going to take Cleveland in this game. This Cleveland team is red hot and they're a tough team to beat, especially home in a playoff atmosphere. Um, it's just going to be too much for Cade to will his team himself over. Moving on to the other series, Knicks and Sixers. Knicks swept the Sixers. I mean, Embiid was injured. Playoff Paul George was more like way off P. He was so inconsistent in this series, which is sad because I got to see a couple of these games, and God, the shot is so pretty. The shot is so pretty, but he's just not the basketball player that he was or hasn't been that basketball player for I think a few years now. Brunson has been electric um in this series. And he's going to continue through the next one. Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart played some messy basketball, but I mean, this Knicks team has some depth to it. It could be an issue going forward, especially going up a team with a good defense. If Detroit, especially, gets through, I think a bigger question here is where do the Sixers go, right? If you're asking me, they need to rebuild with some younger players. I think they need to decide whether or not Embiid is really the answer. I think he is a tremendous athlete when he's healthy and can stay on the floor. Obviously, it swung the momentum in the last series with the Celtics, and then it was just a miracle that we were able to get through that. But his health is a crazy concern. If they were to keep both Maxey and Embiid, they need to invest in younger talent to spread them and younger energy around them. You got to move on from people like Kelly Oubre and Quentin Grimes. It's just not working. You need a different tempo on the offensive side. You need help for Embiid. Um, and you've got a pretty good ground right now. Um, but Paul George taking up as much cap as he is does not make a lot of room in trade offers because he's again, not been as productive as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the Sixers do because they've got a lot more momentum than I think a lot of people would have expected going into this offseason and a lot more to hang their hat on as well than what people would have thought before the season started. And what do the Knicks get to look forward to? I think the Knicks are really rooting for Cleveland right now. They would love some home court advantage. Um, they'll be well rested. They'll have 6 days off. They should be expecting the two-way guard in OG Anunoby to come back forward. Pretty sure OG Anunoby is a forward. That was a typo on my part. Excuse me. Very key on both sides of the ball. Will add to some depth now that DiVincenzo's out. It'll be interesting. Again, I think the Knicks will end up going against Cleveland. That is my pick, and I think that series is going to be phenomenal. I think the matchup as well. I think the depth is very unique, and I think in that one, Cat is probably going to be the biggest difference maker with his ability to spread the floor like he does. But we'll see when we get there because we'll have updates on the TikTok. Now on to the other sweep. Lakers, OKC. This was an interesting series at best and for all the wrong reasons. I struggle watching NBA basketball now with how much of a lack of defense there tends to be and how much people rely on just their talent offensively, which is a tremendous talent. The lack of defense that really turns me away with it. And then you are giving these athletes such little room for error. They've almost got to be perfect on every single possession, or a foul's going to be called on them. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. And I certainly don't like that form of basketball. It got so bad that the Lakers had a team meeting surrounding the crew chief, John Goble, which is a site that I have not seen either in a very long time, if not ever. That was just the tip of the Lakers' issues. But a huge step up by Rui Hachimura, 57% from three in the Lakers' 10 game playoff stretch. The third quarter proved to be demonizing or dehumanizing even for the Lakers as they were outscored by 54 points across these four games. And Lakers in game three, 17 turnovers. 17 turnovers. DeAndre Ayton was non-existent in this series. Could not make a shot to save his life. He was a liability on defense. Rebounding was a struggle. And the same goes with Austin Reeves. I know he's coming back from an injury. They would have been better off with him sitting on the bench or coming off the bench rather, and playing limited minutes in a big role or in big moments than trying to stick him out on the floor when he's clearly not ready for it yet. And then the disappointment with Luka Doncic, like I've heard mixed reviews on whether or not he was actually ready or available for this series, but there's a time to lace up, and I think this is the time that he should have done it. I mean, a couple of these games were close, and a player like Luka really changes the trajectory of your team, especially on offense, because this Laker team struggled a lot. But I do raise a couple questions for you guys. Like, does a series like this, another sweep, does this hurt LeBron's legacy? I don't personally think so. I think this is LeBron who has accepted the fact that he has taken almost a backseat role on this team in the sense that he is not the main scorer. LeBron is the greatest facilitator in this game. He has a lot of effect on this offense, but he's just not the player that he was even 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's starting to wear on him. As you could see, it's starting to wear on him because he's so close and he's kept such good care of his body. I mean, he might be taking limited minutes at that point, or, maybe he even comes off the bench. I'd be very interested to see what you guys think this does to his trajectory as. Just an all-time player. Again, I don't think it hurts it. I mean, the man is 41 years old. He's doing more than most 41-year-old men can do, period. And the effect that he still has on the game is nothing like we've ever seen it before, especially at his age. Shea is so talented, and I think what frustrates me the most about this foul baiting and these foul calls that he gets is he doesn't need them. He does not need them. He is so talented to get to the bucket, to create separation, and to hit the three ball. Um, it's the fact that he's also getting all of these foul calls is just miserable television. It's just miserable to watch. And I don't understand how anybody sits there for 48 minutes to do it. So I think this was a losing battle for the Lakers. Other players for this OKC team like Chet, yeah, being again that they'll have 6 to 8 days of rest is going to play a crucial part in this. Alex Caruso has stepped up a lot. There's been a lot of bickering with his old teammates. Um, but this OKC team is legit, man. They have a real shot here to go back to back. I don't know that I'd like to see it happen, but the possibility is very real, very very real. San Antonio Spurs, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going into game five tonight as well. Excuse me, game six. The Spurs have a 3-2 lead. And this series is interesting because it's either been the Wolves have edged a victory over the Spurs or the Spurs have beaten the dog water out of the Timberwolves. And it really surrounds Anthony Edwards and his productivity. If he's on, man, he's carrying this whole team. They're the Timberwolves offense. Um, it's so slow. The defense struggles to get back. But that's what happens when you have an offense consisting of Gobert, Reed, Randall, and you don't have these energetic folk like Anthony Edwards, or even a couple of Anthony Edwards on your team. If this Timberwolves team wants a chance to get through the Spurs, not only are you going to need Anthony Edwards to step up as much as he has, but you're also going to need Jaden McDaniels to do the same thing. But Victor Wembanyama has been an absolute menace. Even after his ejection in Game Three, he had that big shoulder swing into Nas Reed. I'd like to see if you guys think that was intentional, because a part of me thinks that that's a really cheap play. That's a really dirty play. Especially given the area. It was like right in the jaw, man. Like super fragile. He didn't really seem sorry for it at all. And Nas Reed is really not the person that I would personally want to mess with if I was swinging an elbow, even at Wemby's height. He responded by coming back in game four and scoring 27 points. Struggled in game five. I believe I saw on the stat sheet it was only 4 points. Um, and you just can't have something like that if you're Victor Wembanyama. You're the best player in the world right now. You get anything you want on the court. You can shoot the three ball. You can get down low. You can get to the foul line. But this Spurs team is going to be fine. They are going to. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win the next game. I think it's going to be just a 4-2 series. And the biggest thing with the Spurs is they got tremendous depth. Anybody on that team can score and give you buckets and give you 15, 20 points, which is going to be hard for any of the remaining teams to stop. So that kind of wraps up NBA talk at the moment. Like I said, I think next series is going to be the Spurs and OKC, which is going to be a tremendous series. And then I think it's going to be Knicks Cavs, and I think that'll be another tremendous series as well. In some other news, and the only other topic that we're going to cover on today's episode is the NFL has dropped the schedules for the 2026-27 season. Um, and there are a lot of really good matchups, a lot of good Monday Night Football matchups. Week one is, I think, a very unique slate. I feel like I'm used to divisional games happening a lot in week one, and it's a good slate, it's a good spread. And the Monday Night Football games are fantastic as well. The Thanksgiving Day slate, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, is amazing. But we're going to go through that a little bit here. But we're going to start out. My Cleveland Browns have the easiest schedule this year in terms of combined win percentage of last year. As the teams that they are playing this year had a combined win percentage last year of 0.425. They're going to need every bit of that, because as they're still having QB complications, um, they really have an incentive to tank this year too, um, because the QB class is going to be tremendous coming out, and with a new head coach, you will have your run at the litter. Especially if Gabriel or Shador are not the answers that you want, and Deshaun Watson's not it. I'm I can only wish that he was, but I don't want him on my team. I want him gone. I wish I got my picks back. I wish we got our money back. And it's just a big mess in Cleveland right now. I've got no hope for this team, but I would like to see them beat the Jags in week one. That would be a nice present for me. Shout out to my 904 fellas, my Jacksonville buddies. On the flip side, the Bears have the toughest schedule this year as of winning percentage of last year, as their total win percentage of their opponents last year was 0.550, which includes seven playoff teams uh, from last year's playoff. Um, Week one has some elite games, starting with. So we're really going to see if this Bears team is legit, right? We're really gonna see how good this team is. And I'm rooting for them. I really am. Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams, that offense is going to get their money's worth. We'll see how these draft picks came through for them. Because they were electric last year, and I expect nothing more or nothing less this year. And now they've got the opponents to prove it. Week one, moving on, is has some elite games, like I stated. Super Bowl matchup the Wednesday of week one with the Seahawks and the Patriots, which I got a big question marks about the Patriots right now. With Mike Vrabel, the whole situation, I'm very, very intrigued with how this team kind of approaches the season, if they're approaching it any differently. How is it affecting player relationships with the coach? How much is he going to be into the play calling gig? So Mike Vrabel, there's a lot of crap that he's got to go through in order to make his team get back to the position that they were in. But they have a harder schedule than they did last year, and they'll get their lick at the Super Bowl champs on Wednesday. Another matchup Thursday, Rams 49ers in week one, which is a big rivalry game, tends to be a big NFC matchup. Browns Jags, like I mentioned, week one. I think it's cool, but that's just me. Buffalo and Houston could be electric. We'll see if that Houston offense and CJ Stroud makes and takes a step forward. And we get to see where Josh Allen and the Buffalo picks are in this new Buffalo offense is going to start. And then that Houston defense from last year, too, returns. They added some menaces in the draft. We'll get a very quick look at both of these teams in week one. And then to cap it off, Dallas and the Giants on Sunday Night Football before capping us off with Denver and Kansas City on Monday Night Football. So just an amazing slate week one. I thought they really got a good variety of teams in there of unique matchups, and I just think it builds the excitement for it. I've took the liberty of jotting down a couple games that I'm looking forward to throughout this season. A lot of these are going to be at the beginning, and then obviously through Thanksgiving. We've got week three, Eagles at Bears, Monday Night Football. Again, we're going to get another good look at this Chicago Bears team. This kind of new Eagles team. I mean, obviously you have Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley back there. We're trying to see what the loss of Brown is going to do if he plays for this team, and how some of the draft picks that they invested in prove themselves after a couple weeks of football. And then in week five, Thursday night football, you've got Tampa at Dallas, and then the Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams. Again, a couple of sturdy teams in Tampa and Dallas, and you've offensive powerhouses in Buffalo and the Rams, and we'll get to see. They should be all loose from this season, from the beginning of the season. Um, and I just think that'll be a very fun matchup. And then Sunday night football in week seven, Kansas City at Seattle. Obviously, the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City, should be fully healthy. If Patrick Mahomes isn't there by the beginning of the season, I think he's going to be well into his return by week seven. Like I said, the week of Thanksgiving is going to be just elite. Wednesday, Green Bay at LA, at the Rams. I think it's one of those unique matchups, the one that you don't see all the time. Going to have crazy implications to it. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, you're going to have the Bears going to Detroit. Again, the Bears just seem to be a the team this year. Like they're drawing a lot of attention to them. So I've got a lot of Bears in here. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not, because I'm excited to watch them. The Bears at Lions is going to start us off. You got the Eagles traveling to Dallas, bitter rivalry. And then you have arguably the game of the year Thursday night with Kansas City traveling to Buffalo in what is probably going to be just an offensive barrage. Is that the word I'm looking for? Of talent showing themselves off, and it's just going to be an awesome Thanksgiving Day. And then we're capped off Friday from that kind of 3 day stretch with Denver at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, just one of those unique matchups that I personally think is going to, just give it a little bit of life to. So that's it for my schedule. But I'm very curious to know who what matchup you guys are really looking forward to, and what teams you guys are looking forward to watching this year. Like a lot of teams spent a lot of time in this draft. The Browns, the Jets, the Giants. Um, and a lot of teams invest into some key pieces this offseason, and they have a chance to turn around their whole organization, right? Fernando Mendoza has looked good with the Raiders so far, as I've seen some clips from him with in minicamp, that he's looking strong and accurate. And everything that they were hoping. And then you have teams like Dallas, who gets a stud like Caleb Downs kind of later than anybody was expecting. The Commanders are supposed to be a healthy team this year. So with Jaden Daniels, and then you have Sonny Styles that was added, but you have Terry McLaurin, and an offensive, yeah, just an offensive team that has now implemented a key defensive players. So, uh, who are you guys rooting for this year? Which team are you excited to see? And then what are the matchups that you're most excited for? Um, leave a comment, leave a like. Um, this is going to wrap up our show, but I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for going on this journey with me in my solo podcast for the day. Jacob will be back on the next one, and you can catch all the updates on our TikTok, Instagram. Give us a like, comment, share, subscribe on here on YouTube for us, and we appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for listening to the Deal with D and J.